Hi, welcome to another episode of Waste Management. We were just in the Palmetto, we're leaving there. Now we're going to enter the world of hardwood trees. Most of the trees we have out here are flowering trees, scattered from around the world. So if you're interested again in a tree to put in your yard, you can come here, you can look, you can see the flowers, see the time of year it is, and actually decide what you want to put into your yard. Let's start over here with one of the trees, which is actually quite famous, believe it or not. This tree is called Ylang Ylang, or better known Chanel No. 5 tree. Are you familiar with the perfume Chanel No. 5? This is the primary ingredient in Chanel No. 5. It's a tree. Here are the flowers. Flowers are not very showy. So you look at it, you're going to say, oh, not very pretty. Not very much. That's a flower. Notice not like anything you go, ooh, ah, I want it. The smell is unbelievable. At night, whoa. If you want a tree to plant by your house, by a window that you keep open, plant this tree there. Your house will smell like Chanel No. 5 perfume. I often take one of these flowers, just one. I put it in my car, place it on the dashboard, leave it. When I come back to my car, the entire car smells like Chanel No. 5. So it's a relatively quick growing tree. However, very soft wood. In a storm, it's going to break apart. However, it grows back very quickly. Native to Asia. So again, you want a fast-growing tree, smells good. Oh, and we even have the fruit up there. If you notice up there, those little black fruit, actually, you take the seed inside, you can plant it. However, the seed is slow to germinate. If you plant it, the seed might take 2-3 months to germinate. But it eventually will. So again, Chanel No. 5 perfume tree, Ylang Ylang. Another tree which we have planted next to it, which also has a very strong odor. Here, this tree is frangipani. If you go to Hawaii and you get a true Hawaiian lei, the flowers they put around your neck, this is the flower which they use to make the leis. Here we can go over here. They come in different colors. Here's one of the flowers. And they do smell good. Oh yeah, smell good. Not quite as good as Ylang Ylang, but nonetheless, very nice. They flower. The thing about this tree though, during the winter, it's going to lose all of its leaves. So another name for it is sausage tree, because without any leaves on it, it looks like a bunch of sausage casings on the tree. But this time of year, it starts growing. When it does, it flowers again, covered with leaves. Actually a very, very nice tree, and grows moderately quickly. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, here we have a uncommon tree with a common critter. The critter is one of our anoles native to Florida. There's green and the brown. The green ones are actually the native Florida anole. The brown ones are actually Cuban. I've seen some research done with them, and generally the green like it higher, the Cuban like it lower on the plant. So they tend not to compete with each other, so I was told. But we do have both here. The tree it's crawling on, this is a baobab tree. It's native to Africa, native to Madagascar. The legend about the tree, it kind of looks like a tree that was taken and the roots are in the air and the main part's below ground. The old wives' tale that goes with the tree is that when one of the gods created the tree, the tree started complaining to God. They created another tree. The tree had beautiful flowers. And it said to God, God, how come that tree has beautiful flowers? So God said, okay, you will have beautiful flowers also. It does have beautiful flowers, flowers at night. It also said, why, the tree's so beautiful and big, why can't I be big like that? So, fine, God said big. After it complaining, God got fed up with the tree, ripped it out of the ground, turned it upside down, shoved it back into the ground. So it's said that's the reason why when it's leafless, it looks like the roots are in the air and the main part of the tree is below ground. This tree is known for producing a very large trunk. The trunk on it gets to be a massive diameter. That one over there is actually same age. That one just doesn't go leafless, so it's growing at a quicker rate. That diameter of that can easily be 20 feet. And that's not circumference, that's diameter. We're talking big tree. In Africa, they have actually used one for a prison. They made one into a bar. They made one into a sleeping area, like a hotel, with a room. So you hollow it out, and massive, massive trunk. That is the baobab. Okay, now let's talk about some trees native to Florida. Here we go. We have a tree actually native to Florida. It was actually native to the Keys, but now can be found throughout Florida because we're planting it throughout Florida. If you take a leaf, you actually take it, you crush it and smell it. Smells good. It's allspice. It actually smells like allspice. Actually, when you buy the allspice, it's the berries. You can see this is flowering here, and it will actually produce berries. However, if you plant one, I would say plant 2 or 3 or so, because there are separate male and female allspice. So you want 1 male to about 3 females if you want the seed. If you don't want seed, you could still use a leaf for tea and such. Or you could even use it as a spice. But this is our native allspice. There's another tree native, which I think you might find interesting. That's Jamaican caper. This is our tree I was talking about, Jamaican caper. Notice the nice shape of the tree. Grows kind of like a teardrop, if you look. Kind of like a Christmas tree shape. There was a push years back. It didn't quite catch on, but they were trying to sell this tree to replace a Christmas tree. The native plant people were saying, why not take one of these, keep it in the house in a pot, decorate it like a Christmas tree, then when you're done, plant it in your yard. When it's in bloom, it produces whitish pink flowers with long pistils hanging down. Very showy, but more showy than that. Once it sets seed in seed pods. When the seed is going to be dispersed, the seed pod opens up. When it opens up, it's a crimson red inside the seed pods. I've actually had people ask me, what is that tree in bloom? That red flower. And actually, it's not a flower. That is the seed pod, which actually opened up. So it's a showy thing. Will eventually get to be a small tree. But nonetheless, this guy here has to be at least 10, 15 years old. Okay, so you see, it's a nice little thing. And again, flowers are beautiful. The seed is even prettier when you see it. Does well, South Florida. Okay, here we have a tree. It's a cassia. Cassia is the genus. We have several different types of cassias. We have one here, apple blossom. We have one there, which I'm not even sure what. But we have like several different types of cassias here. The nice thing about them, they're legumes. Legumes actually have a symbiotic relationship with the bacteria in the soil. So they fix nitrogen from the atmosphere. So they're actually able to get nitrogen and incorporate it into the plant. So as far as fertilizer goes, they're generally low fertilizer requirement plants. And they all produce the pretty cassia flowers, and they all produce seed pods, which look similar to a bean type of a seed pod. But that would be these, and again, many, many, many different types to choose from. So if you want a tree, there are some cassias that are short, tall, all different types. But again, a nice flowering tree. Okay, here we are by a tree which I don't think you have seen very often, but I'm quite sure you're familiar with the fruit it produces. This tree is a cashew. Yes, the cashew nut. At the base of the fruit, it produces what is called the cashew apple. Cashew apple people eat in the tropics where this is native to. Just pick it and eat it. As far as the seed goes, they tend to throw them away. I know we like the seed, they like the cashew apple. Notice how bad the tree looks now. It's undergoing a process which is called leaf exchange. It's not classified as being deciduous. What it does, it loses its leaves and puts on new leaves all at the same time. So it has some of the old leaves, but it'll put on new very rapidly. Also, I want to point out one of the other anoles. If you look up there, see the brown anole? That's the one native to Cuba. That's the one that has been introduced or escaped they got here. So the green one are the native, the brown one are the Cuban anoles. Okay, but this is cashew. If you decide to grow one of these, the nut, be very careful with it. You do not want to crack open the nut because that oil which surrounds a nut is highly caustic, meaning it will burn your skin. And I mean burn. Okay, so be very careful with it. The apple's fine to eat. As far as the seed, you're going to roast it. Be very careful with it. Treat it with respect. And there's a whole process you have to go through, which, to be honest, I don't really know. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, here we have a tree which is actually grown for the flower as well as the fruit. This tree is a loquat tree, native to Asia. It's actually, once it's established, very drought tolerant. This is the time of year it produces fruit, and we can, yes, here you can actually see some that wasn't picked. So it's actually rotting on the plant. But otherwise, it's a fruit. Pick one. Actually looks like a small apricot. Very good taste to it. People, I've yet to meet someone that doesn't like it. If you want to plant one of these in your yard, carefree again. Put it in. Don't worry about it. Leaves all year round. Produces fruit this time of year, but it tends to flower throughout the year. So you always have flowers on it, and the flowers also smell good. At night you walk past, very pleasant aroma. So that would be loquat. Okay, here we have a tree native to the Florida Keys. This tree is Lignum vitae. This tree is actually famous World War II fame. Reason being, the wood is very, very, very dense. So dense that if you cut a branch off the tree, put it in water, it sinks. It doesn't float. It's that dense. During World War II, metal was at a premium. So for ball bearings, they actually use this tree. They would take the wood, cut it into circles, use it as ball bearings. Notice it's a pretty tree, has blue flowers. Then the blue flowers mature. Then you get a capsule. Coming out of the capsule, you have the red seed. So it's actually pretty all of the year. This tree is getting ready to go into full bloom. When it does, it's covered with these blue flowers. It's really gorgeous. And then in the fall of the year, you have a heck of a lot more of the red hanging down here. Thing about the tree, if you want one, it grows slower than slow. This tree, this little guy here, is probably about 25 years old. So it shows you how slowly it grows. Very dense wood, very pretty. If you want a tree to put in an area that you know isn't going to take over, this is the way to go. And it's actually pretty all year round. It is protected in the Keys. You can't go ahead and cut one of these down, but they're so slow growing, they're actually endangered. But you can actually buy one from a tropical tree nursery. Okay, here we have a tree which you might want to put in your yard. However, it requires space and a lot of it. This tree will get massive. It also can take it very, very wet. It's Guyana chestnut. Guyana chestnut can grow pretty much in the water. Also, if you notice the roots, the way they're growing, the buttress roots, eventually they're going to grow out. You have those big buttress roots around the base. It's actually a gorgeous tree when it's big. When it starts producing fruit, the fruit looks like the size of a Nerf football. Inside, it produces nuts. Somewhat similar to a chestnut, if you have ever had chestnuts. They are edible. You can roast them, you can eat them, you can boil them, you could eat them. I have had the pleasure, I guess you can say, of eating it. In my opinion, not much eating wise, but if you're starving, you got it. Also, it's a nice shade tree. There is a flower up there if you want to see what the flower looks like. That flower is spent, so it was prettier earlier, but that's what the flower looks like. At the base, if it were to ripen, be pollinated, you would actually get a small little football. Looks like a football and everything, just small in size. And again, the fruit is found within. But Guyana chestnut, actually a nice tree, can take it wet, and actually, from what I was told, takes storms pretty well too. So it doesn't blow apart in storms. If you're a snowbird, this is your tree. This tree is called Hong Kong orchid. Notice how bad it looks now. Because if you're a snowbird, you should be up north already. Okay, this tree flowers during the winter. It starts flowering around Halloween, flowers through Christmas, then New Year's, another month after, 2 months after that, then it's over. This thing still has a few flowers on it, but looks great during the winter. If you notice the flower, pink, up there, if you buy one of these, make sure it's a Hong Kong orchid. Just don't get an orchid tree. The orchid tree will produce seed pods, tons of seed. Hong Kong orchid is sterile. It flowers but never produces seed, so it's not messy. You don't have the seed pods falling off. You don't have new little trees sprouting all over the place. It can be invasive if it's not the Hong Kong orchid. So be sure to ask for that. And again, this tree will get maybe, it becomes more robust, a bigger tree. But anyway, if you're a snowbird, you're down here for the winter, you want a tree that'll flower all through your stay down here, this tree will do it. Flower has no smell, but it is quite pretty. This is probably not a tree you're going to want to plant in your yard. The only reason I mention it is because if you've read the book Robinson Crusoe, they built a tree house in a tree. This is the tree that they built the tree house in. This is called a rain tree, native to the Amazon. Gets quite a big, large canopy. Thing about it, the leaves can be fed to cattle for fodder, so it's actually food. When it produces a flower, it's kind of like a pink little puffball type flower all throughout the top. But this tree is small. It gets massive, a massive spreading canopy. So much so that in Hawaii you can't plant it, but it tends to spread seed all over the place. Also weak wood, but again, famous for the book, thus I mention it. Here we have a tree which is known for two things. First of all, look at the trunk. Notice how spiky it is. Mean. Okay, the legend behind this tree is, first of all, it's native to South America. If the story goes, if a woman cheats on her husband for eternity, when she dies, she will have to climb this tree naked for eternity. If a man cheats on his wife, well, so what? That's overlooked. But anyway, so that story behind the spines. Actually, the spines are to protect the fruit up top. The second reason this tree is known, the fruit it produces. The fruit it produces looks kind of like a football-y shape. You have seed. Surrounding the seed is a white arrow. Kind of looks like fiber. That fiber is hydrophobic, meaning it repels water. It's also a hollow fiber. So it's very lightweight, very fluffy, repels water. Back in the days before synthetic fibers, they would actually use that fiber to stuff life vests. So this tree was actually grown, the fiber was collected to stuff life vests. So that's this tree. It does actually produce a pretty flower, produces a pink flower. It's done flowering. It is leafless when it flowers. Now it's starting to leaf out again and grow again. So you have leaves all summer long. Winter comes, leaves fall off. Spring, which is our spring is late winter, you then get the flowering. And then you get the regrowth. But that is this tree again, silk floss. Here we have a moringa. This tree is native to Asia. It's actually called the tree of medicine. Every part of this tree people use, people eat, they use for medicine. Another name for the tree is horseradish tree. Reason being, you eat the flower tastes like horseradish. You eat the leaf is supposed to be used in place of spinach. Very, very high in nitrogen. The seed pods, you can also use the seeds, cook them like beans. There are also both many nutritional values for this tree. It's moringa, very easy to grow, grown from seed. This tree here is 3 years old. So it shows you how quickly it grows, how quickly it starts flowering, producing, and everything. I love the flowers. They are quite good. Wow, very good. Here we have a tree native to Australia, rainbow eucalyptus. This tree is grown for nothing more than its trunk. Look how beautiful the trunk is. It's exfoliating bark. The bark falls off, sloughs off. When it does so, it leaves patches. Notice toward the top of the tree there, you have the reds, you have the yellows, you have the green, you have the brown. All the different colors of the tree all up and down the trunk. Thing about the tree, doesn't take wind very well. This tree has been blown apart by the wind 2 or 3 times out here. Grows very, very quickly. Always grows back. Also, the wood is very high in oil, burns very readily. In Australia, catches on fire, burns. So, but anyway, grown, it's an upright tree, grown again for the beautiful trunk. Here we have a tree I'm sure you're all familiar with. This time of year it's undergoing what is called leaf exchange, losing its leaves, putting on new leaves. Also, this is the time of year it's going to flower. Only reason I'm showing you this is a flamboyant or Royal Poinciana. Pretty common tree. I'm showing you this one only because I collected the seed, planted it. Is the yellow variety. This from seed is 7 years old. I just want to show you a size of a tree you can get in 7 years. This one has yet to flower. It takes about 8 years to flower. Normally what you do with this, you find a pretty one, you graft it. So you have that color flower. Here they're from seed, so hopefully it'll be the yellow variety. We will see when it starts growing. But again, Royal Poinciana, and just so you can see the size of a tree, you can get 6 or 7 years will do this. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little tour of the flowering tree area we have here adjacent to the Palmetto at Miami-Dade College North Campus. That was just a very, very small sample of the flowering trees we have here. It extends further north along the campus and on the other side of the campus. The trees out here are labeled. So if you want to know what they are, walk up to the tree, you can see the label, tells you what the tree is, you can Google it, or ask someone upstairs. They should be able to tell you about the tree. So I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Again, that's only a small sample, and I want to encourage all of you to come to North Campus. Don't only come here and take classes, also enjoy the scenery. Enjoy the grounds that we have planted here for you as a student, also for the community. We welcome you to come. Please visit Miami-Dade College. Thank you for watching Waste Management.